Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. This episode is sponsored, as usual, by Pvgna, Pvgna. We actually have somebody from Pvgna on the show today, so you'll look forward to getting introduced to Donnie momentarily. And we're also sponsored by Unicorn, that is UNIKRN, and similarly, we will also hear more about them approximately 45 minutes from now. Yeah. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I am myself.
As I was saying, so if you go to after a game ends and you hit victory or defeat or whatever, and you go back in game, there's 5 portraits of heroes on one side and 5 portraits on the other.
Yes, hello,
There is
Proud.
a clicking zone above that I didn't know it exists, but you can spin them from there. Like, it's not actually, you don't click the window, you just click over them, and you can still spin them. It's
On
weird,
that note, welcome to Theorycraft Thursday. We are everybody's favorite
Did you know that?
podcast, just period. I did know that, actually. I've known that since that feature came out. Thank you, Proud.
Well, I know it now, too.
I'm joined today by Proud, but more, I was going to say importantly, but more interestingly, I guess, is the turn of phrase I would use. We're joined by Donnie from Pvgna. He is our special guest for the day. I want to know... Skrunks came on. I was going to say he's the first guest since the transition of Fourth Spirit. He's the first real guest, because, people know Skrunk, people know Peachy. But anyway, welcome, Donnie. Thanks for coming on to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's good to be here.
Yay.
Yeah, it should be fun. We, these 3 people episodes are always a good time. Anyway, let's just, all right. First of all, we need to introduce Donnie, I suppose. So, Donnie, what do you do at Pvgna?
Do you do anything?
Hopefully.
I'm still trying to figure that out, honestly.
Okay.
A jack of all trades?
Yeah. No, honestly, what I do is I run all the social media stuff. I publish all the content on the site. I don't make all of the content, but I do help our content creators with editing and scripting and outlines and pretty much anything that, gets the content on the site or promoted elsewhere.
Yeah.
And, I play Dota occasionally at this point.
Yeah, this is a common thread amongst basically every content creator in Dota, I think, is that unless you're a streamer, but even if you're a streamer, everybody that starts making content, they quickly realize that the more stuff you want to make, the less time you have to play Dota. All the casters, they always complain, they're I haven't played Dota in a month because I'm either casting or I'm watching replays, etc. I was listening to Desolated did a podcast recently that Kipspool was on, and she's I don't play Dota. I just watch games. It's if I'm playing games, I can't do my job because my job is not helped by me playing 2K pubs or 3K pubs or whatever she is. And
I've never been able to do that, man. Regardless, I used to play a lot of sports in high school and college, and I could never really get into watching sports because I'd always just want to play.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same thing. I can only get through maybe 1 or 2 games of pro scene before I have to go play a couple of pubs and skip a couple of games of watching. So, I try and get a couple of games every day if possible, but you are right.
Sometimes it's hard.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Proud, you probably watched the most pro games out of the 3 of us, it sounds like.
Not that recently. I used to watch a shit ton of pro stuff because I would just have it in the background while I was doing other things. But now that I'm, taking a break from school, I'm probably playing rather than watching if I've, time to have a screen up.
Yeah, I watch a decent amount, but it's very I don't watch full games. I rarely watch full games. I'll watch just the laning phase, or I'll watch just the draft, or I'll watch just I'll just player perspective, this person doing this thing,
and skip through until you see what the final item build is and that sort of shit.
Yeah, or I'll just I just go to the Dota buff page and I'll just look at recent pro games. It's all right, what everybody's picking Elder Titan suddenly, which is not true, but that's just a random example. And it's oh, okay, I get that. And that kind of stuff is helpful, but yeah, I find I'm the kind of person when I watch real sports, I watch them out of the corner of my eye, it's just on, I'll enjoy it, but I never go out of my way. And it's similar with Dota, except the thing is Dota requires so much attention that I can't even watch it out of the corner of my eye because it's it's so easy to lose track, at least for me. Anyway, now that we've all given everybody good confidence in our knowledge of the pro scene, that'll make our segment later weird, but that's okay. That's That's not as important as our week in Dota or Donnie's, recent lifetime in Dota. I don't know, it's up to you. So let's start with Proud.
Okay.
We'll sandwich Donnie in the middle. So Proud, how has your week in Dota been?
Like 2 days ago, so it's not.
Well, that's your
not
fault.
That different. My last 6 games
you shouldn't use
have
content,
been
dude.
Jakiro
That's why
and Doom, and I've lost 4 out of 6 of them. It's not bad.
All
I
right.
mean, just, I'm down 2 games, I guess, but I've just been like, even the last game I played, it was like, all right, I'm just gonna play core. I moused over, it was fine. We had 3 people trying to play mid. It's like, fuck it, I'll just support Jakiro again, whatever. So we fucking win, and then we did. So that that felt good, I guess. But it's just been that I played a Fanlancer game with that kind of the maxing E on PL, and that was very good and fun. I went,
thing?
Well, it's the everyone thing at this point. I don't know if he started it, but it's maybe popularized.
He's the first person I heard about doing it.
Anyway,
Battle Fury Phantom Rush.
Oh no, I didn't go Battle Fury with it. Although someone in one of my games earlier did. I just went the just like brown boots, wand Aquila, straight into Diffusal, and then I think I got a heart right after that because we were like really far ahead, and I just wanted to become unkillable and like never give up the advantage, and that worked really well. But yeah, I went like 23 and 18 at the end. It was super good.
Huh. Did you say 20? Oh, I think you meant 18 deaths. I was like, wow, that's not a great score.
20 kills, 3 deaths, 18 assists, and a couple of those deaths were just, trying to end it after we took Ancient or Megas.
Yeah,
I've been banning PL. Fuck that guy.
I forget who was
He is.
Yeah, I've been graced to not see him much, but I forget who I was talking to that was just saying like he's in like all my games. I don't know how to deal with this hero. Because they were saying like I pick Earthshaker every game and I have a hard time because I don't know how to play Earthshaker. But they feel obligated to pick it because they see so much PL. Yeah. I've been lucky and have not seen much PL recently.
Cool.
Just quick tip: Earthshaker is definitely not. It's not the counter you want to be picking.
Yeah,
it's got Echo Slam every minute and a half. And
then, it's one of those. It's one of those things that seems like a much better counter than it actually is.
Like AM to Dusa, but like in actuality, AM just sucks so much that you're just gonna fucking die, and Dusa's just gonna end the game.
Yeah. Or it's like if you're picking Silencer to counter Tide, it's like, well, Tide's just gonna buy a Lotus.
Okay, but that's not a
and
counter because if you hit Tide, it breaks.
People consider that a counter.
Who considers that a counter?
People counter pick Tide with Silencer.
Why?
That is a thing that people do.
I don't know about that.
And that's definitely
okay. All right.
They pick
anyway,
Silencer to counter Enigma.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I mean, it's a similar idea.
No, it isn't,
right?
because Tidehunter has a built-in skill that breaks any long disable on him. That's not a continuous field. So, like, Disruptor can fuck Tidehunter, but Silencer absolutely cannot.
Okay, moving on. Donnie, how have your recent Pvgna games? How have your recent Dota games been going?
Well,
wait, do you play
They
Pvgna?
were going pretty well. I do, actually.
Okay.
I was
making sure we got the branding going here.
Yeah, I'm one of those people that will. I mean, I've got my favorite heroes, right? But then
what are they?
After winning,
name 3 if you can. Name
heroes.
Donnie's 3 favorite heroes if you're a true fan of yourself.
Right now, I'm probably playing Bloodseeker, Axe, and Trent Protector the most. Okay, honestly.
All right.
Who's the Trent that you most often protect?
It's like the middle one when Furion spawns them.
Okay.
All right.
I was saying because I was. Are they Treants or Trents? Because I think they're Treants, but I thought you were making a joke with the word Trent, and I was like.
Or like Trent packs?
Yeah, like that's a person named Trent.
I would definitely protect Trent packs if I could.
Yeah. Okay, well.
But I was going after Treants, if you want to pronounce it.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I don't know. And it pronounces like drow, like dro and shit, so I'm not gonna, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah. I feel like it's one of those words where, and again, B was just joking about this on Tuesday, that somehow our podcasts always devolve into grammar or words. But I've heard Treant and Trent both ways, and I've heard it corrected both ways. Like when a bunch of people are saying Treant, then somebody will be like, actually, the right way, like canonically, is to say Trent, and then vice versa. So who knows? The language is nonsense.
And then you kind of have like Lord of the Rings. They're called Ents, so it's like Trent makes sense.
That does make
they're tree people, so it's like tree.
But it's not EANT for the Lord of the Rings ones. It's just ENT.
This is true.
What a world. Glad we
Uh,
got that one figured out.
I'm getting a headache already. So Donnie, what are your preferred positions? I suppose is a good jumping off point after your favorite heroes.
Well, I don't know. I go between like just filling, and then sometimes I'll just decide that I want to play one specific position, and so I'll just I have like kind of three in a row. I'll usually mouse over carry if somebody's fighting me for that. Then I'll go to roamer, and then if somebody's fighting me for that, then I'll go to off lane. And then if that's also being fought over, then it's just position 5, and I'll just buy wards and try and
Accept
keep
your fate.
everybody alive. Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, that's fair.
Mid is for idiots.
I like mid nowadays. But that's a divisive opinion. I feel like I'm forced to like mid, I guess, because so many people hate mid, and in like the stacks that I play in, at least, so many people don't play mid. That's just like I guess I
I don't really play mid.
Also, I love Shadow
I
Fiend.
play Dragon Knight and Quap. Anyway, let's go on. Let's do some.
Let's move on. So
you're the.
I do my week in Dota. Proud, come on, we can't just move on. My week's the most important.
Which games did you lose, and how long are you going to tell us about them?
I've stopped doing that ever since you called me on it. All right. Cool. So mostly I've just been playing Juggernaut and Shadow Fiend. Shadow Fiend I already talked about too much on this podcast over the last month, so I won't talk about that. But Juggernaut I've had excellent games on. I had a game where I won despite a guy intentionally feeding. Nice. That was pretty satisfying. I did go blink. I went. Wait, no. In this game I did not go blink. In this game, I went Phase, Battle Fury, Saint Genyasha, Butterfly, Abyssal. And then in my other good jug game that I just won like a couple hours ago, I went Phase, Aki, Battle Fury, Manta Style, Blink, Abyssal.
There we
go. I normally do Blink, but in this jug game, why didn't I do Blink?
I
don't remember why I didn't do Blink. I didn't need to, well, they were all blinking and initiating on me, so I had no reason to blink initiate on them. And also, we were just 5-manning with an Omni Knight.
Sure.
I was like the one that had to go do things. I didn't need a blink. I needed a butterfly.
What?
Isn't it cool though? Because like you just listed, I mean, essentially the same items. Like there was a couple different items in there, but like it was essentially the same items. But those two builds feel so different when you're actually playing them in game. It's kind of crazy how like just one or two items can totally change the feel of a hero.
Yeah, I just love Saint Genyasha. It comes through specifically in my Juggernaut play and my Shadow Fiend play. And Juggernaut, I mean, obviously some games you just need a Manta. Like in the game I went Manta earlier today. I forget why exactly, but it was like I needed to purge some silence. Oh, I needed to purge Puck silence, and they had an Earth Spirit silence. So I was like, there's no way I get around not building a Manta. So, but I just love S&Y on Jug. It's so satisfying. You just run people down with a Sage procs. And yeah, once you have Butterfly, you just have 550 movement speed when you need it. So Blink, the need for Blink, obviously you still want to Blink. I would have built Blink 6th slot in this game because I had my Abyssal. But it's just kind of like, sometimes you can get away with not having Blink if you're just super, super fast all the time. But yeah, that's really it. I have not played that much Dota this week, I'll be honest. But those two games were really good. I also fed hardcore in a Brewmaster game, and that was really embarrassing, I'm not going to lie. It's like one of those games you got to acknowledge sometimes you just don't deserve to win MMR, and that was definitely one of those games. I also threw a Quap game, as is fashionable for me, because I am the worst Quap player on Earth. Yes, I blinked forward, I dove tier 4s to kill a Crystal Maiden, and then we lost.
Yeah.
So,
oh man,
yeah, that was one of those things where I did it to make space because I was already like half health, and I was like, right, I can draw everybody away, and then my team could like just punch buildings and take Iraqs, but then instead my team dove with me for some no discernible reason, and then we lost. So yeah, it was my fault, but not entirely. And we also had a guy feed all his items and then abandon, so that didn't help. Anyway,
that's been happening way too much, man.
Yeah, it's. I don't want to feed into the conspiracy that somehow Valve has changed things, but at the same time, I totally believe in that conspiracy because my games have been so much worse in the last 2 months, and specifically the last like 2 weeks, than they used to be. I don't know. I'm hoping one of the things that somehow people were talking about the battle pass, because there's no battle pass yet and people expected one by now because obviously Valve wants their money. I think they may unveil some new system, some new system.
What I'm thinking. Like, there's got to be
with
something.
the battle pass. Like,
Certainly hope so.
Yeah, whether they do something like the CS:GO, like I don't play CS:GO, but they have like the Prime matchmaking or whatever, where like if you pay $5, you're in like a Prime pool. They may do something like that with Battle Pass, or they may do something where they test out a system, like maybe they test out a role queue. If they make it just slightly simplified, like queue as a support or queue as a core.
They don't. Fuck that shit.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
I don't like it, but at the same time, I wouldn't be against them trying it for like one battle pass worth of time. But also, I'm a support player,
like 4
so
months.
I mean,
It's not just trying. That's
true.
it's implementing.
well, I mean, they could do it for like a month.
Yeah, that's true. How do you go back after
yeah,
that? Sure.
like
Yeah.
get the fuck out of here.
I just get battered down because like for years I've said I don't want that. I think it's dumb, and then every once in a while I'm like, I wouldn't mind trying it, and I'm sure I'd hate
Let's
it.
move on.
Like
I'm mad
after
now.
a few games, but okay, fine, all right. So we synergized our segment for this week specifically with Donnie and Pvgna because Pvgna, obviously, as everybody knows from the ad prompt that I read to you every twice a week, or somebody from this network reads to you twice a week. Pvgna is an educational platform, so we want to do an educational segment more in a more literal sense than our regular, talk about something in an educational sense segment. So we wanted to talk about how to learn specifically from pro games, and this could somewhat be tangentialized into how to learn from pro players individually, but more specifically, let's talk about how we watch a pro game and say, all right, I learned X, Y, and Z, or saying I want to learn blank, and then going to pro games to, find it and discern that information and then implement it into your game. So to start this segment, Donnie, you guys obviously have a lot of pros on Pvgna that do, you have a lot of streamers, of course, and other high-more players, but people like Jenkins, he's the first one that comes to mind, that are pro players. They have like a special insight, right? And learning from pro games specifically on a platform like that, right? You guys occasionally have videos that are from pro, like watching pro games, right? On the Pvgna YouTube channel.
Yeah, generally all of our guides have at least one like gameplay analysis, and a lot of our content creators like to use a pro game for that. And it's kind of an interesting problem just because obviously when like pro Dota is definitely the highest quality Dota out there, I would say. There's a reason that these guys are getting paid a bunch of money to make great plays and compete against each other. But then there's sort of like a weird problem with how the game that you watch in like a pro tournament is not really the same game that you're going to experience basically ever in your Dota career. And so routinely I'll talk to the content creators that are making our guides, and I'll be like, I understand that you are like 7K or 8K or whatever, and you think about this game in this way, and you want to use these pro replays to teach people, but do remember that we're trying to teach people to win pubs, basically. Like we can teach people to essentially, try and make it to the pro scene. Sure, that's possible, but most of the users are not going to go pro, and most of them just want to get better at Dota so they can have more fun. And so like going through really high level concepts, or even stuff as simple as like expecting your supports to be in the right place all the time, is not something that you can count on in your pubs. And so you kind of have to like pick and choose what you really want to learn from pro replays, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, there's a lot of applicability issues for sure. Proud, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the same page in general when I watch pros. Like if I'm trying to learn Tiny, I'm not really looking at the item build, maybe the talent build a little bit, because it's nice to see when things are situational. But if you're just trying to get a good sense of things, don't really look at the items, except in a general sense. Like, oh, okay, Tiny gets Blink now. Like that's something that you can probably figure out any which way you want. But the interesting thing for the pro replay is like the exact minutia of what they do. Like, do they farm at this minute, or are they looking for fights? Like, at what point are they starting to fight? At what point are they farming? When are they using TP scrolls? And that sort of thing is kind of more interesting to me because you can, I mean, just look on Dota Buff, you'll find the item build. But as far as like something you'll actually get from a pro game, it's a lot more about the general play style and how often, you know, like really just when you farm, when you fight. That's, I think, honestly, the best thing you can get from people that are better than you, because that's probably the main thing that you're screwing up.
Yeah, definitely that. Sorry to interrupt.
No, go for it.
I would also say like target selection in fights is super important.
Yeah, just how you team fight it all, like how you engage into one. Yeah, it's a huge deal.
Right. And then also another thing, I find that watching people, like, when they're left alone, like, if you really, really want to learn how to play a hero from a pro player, watch them when they get sacked in lane, because then you'll understand, like, what the limits of this hero are in a tough situation. And once you know that, you can do so much more stuff. You can play so much more aggressively in games that are not that tough.
For sure.
So, like, for example, you know how up until like up through TI7, the meta was really just to sack the safe laner, and that's why we're getting like necrophoses and stuff like that. But all heroes were basically being sacked in the safe lane because of the mid lane meta. And so if you really wanted to learn how to play a hero in a hard game, which you're probably going to have in your pubs because people aren't supporting you in lane very much, watch those kind of games. Like, that's when you can really see how laning stage needs to be played.
Yeah, there was there was one game where when I was playing Lone Druid and he wasn't fucking unplayable, where it's like bold. It was right when he got Savage Roar and he became super meta, and they like ganked Bulldog like some 8 times or something, and then he still got, you know, Radiance at 19 minutes or something. It's like, okay, that's what I want to watch. I want to watch the fucking game where this dude got fucking rolled and still got a Radiance at 19. I don't want to watch the game where he got it at 12. Like, okay, you won a game that was easy, super fucking helpful, and I just watched you last to clear that. Yeah, definitely watch when shit is bad and how they work out of it.
Yeah, it's an interesting point to make, right? Because kind of to boil it down, right? The key difference between pro teams and pro games is just in that every game is super coordinated and the teams know how their teammates play. So when you look at a game as a unit of 5, it's kind of hard to learn from, right? Because you're never going to have that. Even in a 5 stack with your friends, you're not going to have that. Like, you could draft pro drafts and you're going to lose because, you know, you just don't have that perfect synergy. But like you guys said, when you look at a singular player, that's where you actually learn stuff. And even if he's doing some weird build you'd never do, watching him like combo his abilities in a very specific way in a very specific situation, that's something that it really stands out and is much more applicable. I know when I watch pro games, a lot of times I should say what I do is I try to aggregate between the Dota Buff guide section with, like, you know, the info that we frequently use for Theorycraft Thursday, and then just looking at random pro games and seeing if you see, like, all right, Tiny did not go Shadowblade Blink this game. He only went Blink, and then he went straight, you know, St. Joshua AC or something. I probably should use the hero I know, because maybe that's not the build
most of the time you don't get both, but I think it's good if you get both. That's just me personally.
Yeah. So if you see a trend, like, all right, in pubs, most people are doing X and Y, but in this pro game, this player skipped, you know, the second part of that that's normally done, just looking at it and saying why. Like, and then you can watch the game and say, all right, well, the game pace was too fast, or, oh, like, the enemy team has a bunch of, you know, they have a bunch of vision natively because they have a Zeus, and they have a Necrobook Lycan draft, which would be a weird thing to draft together. But, so he didn't go Shadowblade this game, and stuff like that, where you can kind of isolate and ask one specific question and answer that question. And that's usually how I go into pro games. Obviously, it's different if I'm just watching a random game, but honestly, I don't learn much when I watch random games. I think, you know, I might enjoy myself and I might learn something, but when I'm really actively have a question, I just say, all right, like, I want to know how this Lena got Ags, Shadowblade, Bloodstone, BOT at 22 minutes. Like, how did they manage that tempo? And that's a very specific question with, like, pretty specific, you know, she did X and then she did Y and then she did Z, and that's how this happened. And so that's a much more manageable, you know, set of things to glean from one game or a group of games if you're looking to something else.
Yeah, I think, like, probably two of the biggest offenders of people watching a pro game and then expecting their games to go like that would be, like, Anti-Mage and Drow Ranger.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just because, like, people just pick Drow and they think that they're just going to win the game by pushing all the towers by 20 minutes. And that happens in pro games regularly, or it did happen more when Drow is better. It still happens from time to time, but then you pick a Drow Ranger in a pub, and you just realize how fragile the hero is and like how ridiculously good you have to be at positioning yourself and just never getting caught, or you pretty much lose the game. And then anti-mage is kind of the same thing, where people are always watching the pro games and it's like, oh, cool, Arteezy has like 115 last hits at 10 minutes. How is that possible? It's because his entire team has made like literally the most space possible, universes of space for him. And so he literally has nobody in his lane. He can just pull to the hard camp and then farm all those creeps and then farm all the creeps in the lane. And like that will never happen in a pub either. So, you know, I guess it's just the same point that we're already making, that it's kind of hard to learn specific heroes because the pros have such a good plan for surrounding them with a specific play style that you're just probably not going to get that coordination.
Yeah. And pros, they treat the game much more situationally because they have that, you know, robust knowledge of the game and how to tune things situationally. Yeah. So it's not as helpful as if you're like you know, whether you're a 2K player or a 5K player, if you're trying to learn Luna and you watch a pro game where some guy does some really off the wall strat where he builds like double butterfly, and then you go to your pub and like, sure, that worked for that pro in that one game, but if you don't look into it and say, all right, he did this because of, you know, X, Y, and Z, you try to use that and you're just going to like lose over and over again. So you really need to, you need to get some more generic.
I don't think that looking at the item build in particular is interesting unless you're at the point where you're wondering about situations. Like if you're just trying to learn how to be good at the hero, I would look more at just like, you know, Dota buff guides section of guides, because those are literally guides that win pubs. But, you know, if I'm playing Sven, the build that I like is, you know, you get the Mask of Madness, Echo Saber, BKB, you know, Daedalus or some shit like that. But if I'm watching a pro game and the game is at a pace where, you know, it's not too uncommon to see, and a blink, of course, after the Echo. It's not too uncommon to see someone go blink right after Mask of Madness, because that's just when they want to start ganking with their team, and their team can change to do that. But if you do that in a regular game, you're just going to fucking stall out and everything sucks. So, like, don't even, you know, if a pro build seems kind of, like, different and weird, don't worry, just look at the Dota buff guide section. Just watch how they play.
Yeah. So I think that kind of gets me into the next part of this segment that I want to talk about is how do you apply this information kind of once you've got it? Because obviously, like we've been saying, pro games are very situational, and even if you learn something from a game, it may not necessarily be the easiest thing to apply. Donnie, what would your advice about like applying actual knowledge you've gained? And even, we're talking about pro games right now, but even on Pvgna, right? If I watch a Pvgna guide and it says, you know, on Night Stalker, I tend to do X, Y, and Z. What do you think is kind of the optimal way to go about actually implementing that knowledge and applying it to your games?
Well, it's probably going to be, I mean, the sort of cliched answer, which is like slow and steady. You want to, I mean, I have some background in coaching from sports, and really just like anytime you're trying to learn some skill, whether it be, I mean, movement around the map or something more mechanical, like, I don't know, invoke or spell combos. If you start out just focusing on like very small pieces of it at a time, it becomes much easier to put it together, like as you master each little piece of the puzzle. So, I mean, for your specific example of like learning to play Night Stalker better, I mean, even just starting with like the starting items, you know, just like figure out what the starting items are. Maybe even play a couple games and like do different starting item builds. And sometimes you have to make a mistake to learn, right? So like pick a greedy starting item build and then see how it completely screws you over in the game as far as your momentum, and then pick a starting item build that might be recommended by the Dota buff guides or in-game guides or whatever you happen to use. And then just feel the difference between those. And once you've felt that, then you can move on to, you know, moving around the map or how to skill a hero, that kind of stuff. But really, it's just kind of like building systematically on something. You know, watch one video, digest the knowledge, apply it once or twice, and then go back to something else.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. Proud, what is your like application process for when you're
I think
like watching pro
focusing
games?
On, you know, like one aspect of it at a time is definitely a good way to go about it. But I mean, obviously the most important part is to identify exactly what's getting all fucked up. Like when I was really shitty on Tiny, like I can play Tiny mechanically, and I feel like I know how the fucking hero works. But turns out I thought I was doing all the right shit. I was farming a lot, and then I was killing people. But turns out I just fucking wasn't, because I just was engaging wrongly. So like you kind of need to identify what's being fucked up, like what part of your game feels bad. Like on Night Stalker, for instance, your issue may either be your opening 4 minutes, you get absolutely nothing done, so your first night sucks. Or it could be your opening 4 minutes are okay, but you never get something done in your first night. So like you would focus, in that case, you'd be like, all right, at this point in the game, I feel shitty. Let's see what a pro does at this point in the game. Obviously, their point of that point of the game probably happens a bit earlier for them. So, just, based upon their levels and that sort of thing. Yeah, I guess, mostly that.
Another thing that, another thing that got me thinking about was how I remember there's two very specific things that I can remember having sort of aha moments from watching people that were clearly better than me play the game. And one of them does have to do with like Night Stalker or Roaming 4. And because I like playing the roamers. I mean, a lot of people do. It's fun. You get to run around the map and kill people and just create chaos.
Yeah, you get to play support but still have fun.
Exactly. And I would just notice that I was routinely like underleveled, and just as a roamer, it's really important to get a couple points in your skills, because otherwise you end up as like this level 1 guy running into like gank a level 6 mid, and you can't do it because your skill range is too short, or it like costs too much mana or something like that. And so
a Tusk with just a snowball is a radically different hero than a Tusk with a snowball and a shard.
Exactly. And I feel like we kind of get these preconceived notions, like you're never supposed to leech experience. But if you watch like a professional caliber roamer, they spend a decent amount of time leeching experience to make sure that they get a couple levels early on, so they can have some impact as like the early laning stage to mid game starts. So that was one thing that I learned. And then probably the biggest moment was when I used to play a lot of Axe and then kind of stopped, because I was one of those players that would get a big snowball going, and then I would feed a couple kills because I was just YOLOing all over the place with my big kill lead, and then I'd throw games like that. And so I kind of stopped playing Axe because I was like, oh, this hero like doesn't win me pubs. And I think I was actually watching Jenkins or talking to Jenkins about the hero, or watching him play something else, and I just really noticed that the biggest thing with a hero like Axe or Magnus or any big initiator is that you basically just want to spend no time in the lanes farming. You want to never be on the map. And if you can do that, then you make the game infinitely harder for the other team, because they're just constantly scared of you. They have no idea where you are the whole time. And as soon as I made that switch of basically just never showing or focusing, and like I consciously focused, I need to be in the trees, I can't be showing, it just totally changed how I was playing the hero, and I started winning a ton on the hero. And again, he's one of my favorite heroes now.
Yeah. I guess kind of the last thing I want to talk about on this, is there any role that you guys think is more or less easy to learn from in pro games and stuff like that, like, or even just in high level pubs? Like, in my opinion, I would say mid lane is a lane where you can learn a lot from watching pro games, whereas it's a little harder to learn. I would say probably. I mean, personally, I would say I've had the most trouble learning from watching really high-level pubs and pro games, mostly just because the people in that high tier react differently and act differently to games people in my tier of pubs or in other tiers of pubs. So if I gank on Night Stalker, maybe my guy's not paying attention, or maybe we don't have the ward that, they would have had in a pro game. Stuff like that has been what I've found to be a bit inapplicable. Whereas if I can learn a lot from watching a mid laner, because there's very specific one-on-one dynamics to that matchup, right? It's like, all right, the Quap is moving forward at this point. She's throwing a dagger here. She's not throwing a dagger here. She's playing defensive at this point, yada, yada, yada. So do you guys think there's any position that's particularly hard or easy to learn from watching?
Go ahead,
no.
What a boring answer.
Well, I've been no to, I'm not going to go. And it's Donnie. Donnie goes before me. That's how we've been doing it. That's how we're going to keep doing it.
All right. Sorry for trying to ruin our chemistry.
It was going so well.
I would say that it's actually pretty easy and applicable to learn 5 roll, because I think that the 5 roll is one of those things where you need to have like you're basically playing chess with the enemy team. You need to figure out where you need to be before you need to be there. Whereas the 4 roll, it has some elements of that, but like I think the 4 roll is more predicated on communication. You know, you're like, how's your lane going? Good. What if I come here? Can I gank? Okay. What if I go here? Can we get a kill if I come here? That's like what the 4 roll does for basically, you know, the entire early game. Whereas the 5 roll is kind of like, I don't know, when I play 5 personally, I spend most of my time just like looking at the minimap because I'm trying to see where everybody is and I want to make sure that I'm TPing before I need to be there to save somebody, or just trying to guess like what is happening in the game. And I think that if you watch a pro player do that, you'll see them make a lot more rotations than you probably are making in your games. And you'll realize that like it's okay to just, you know, burn your TP to go top if you see that there's probably going to be a fight happening, so you have enough numbers to like win it.
That makes sense. So Proud, now that it's your proper turn.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of things that are hard to learn about from pro games, like offlaning. You're probably not going to get zoned as easily as you will in a pro game. Or, you know, if you end up dual laning, your dual lane is not going to go the way it will in a pro lane, and the enemies won't react to it the way that they would in a pro game. And similarly, like mid, you're probably not going to get tri-laned, and the mid matchup is like always going to be offset by like, oh, an ogre was their level 1, and this is how the matchup goes if an ogre is their level 1. But if you can get like a pure undisturbed mid lane, that's pretty good to learn, as in like it's the ideal way I should be working towards, you know, this matchup. I'd say carry is definitely fairly easy to learn, and I think 5 is absolutely the easiest one to learn through watching, because like Donnie said, it's pretty turn-based. Like the actions that you take within the first 4 minutes of the game as a 5 position are like pretty rote. Like, you know what they are going to ideally be. You're gonna fucking zone. If you need to pull, you're gonna stack and pull, and then you're gonna try to get the 2-minute rune and zone and stack. And, you know, if you ever leave the lane, you know, that's when you kind of pay attention to what kind of weird shit they do. But yeah, like, you get a basic tempo as a 5, and that's fine. As a carry, you get a basic idea of when I should go and punch them versus when I should just sit back and farm. And as a roamer, you don't know how they're going to react. Like, you know, their fucking Tusk decides not to go into a fight because they notice that, you know, 3 people have TP scrolls. In your game, it doesn't fucking matter. Just go. They're not going to TP. They're dumb.
That's fair. So, do you guys have anything else on this topic before we close it out?
I would just encourage people to play more 5, honestly. Watch some
that would
5.
Be a help.
Watch some 5. It's actually a pretty fun role. Like, being the guy who TPs in at the last second, turns a fight around, gets your team a bunch of kills. It feels super good. And I feel like that's the role that quits first when a game is going bad. It's always the support because they don't want to be doing it. And so it's like they're in a hard lane. They're like, oh, I don't know what to do. I can't go mid because my mid laner will yell at me. And if you just watch the pros, like when they're in a hard lane, the guy goes, he does stuff in the jungle, he like stacks random camps, and then he TPs immediately. As soon as there's like a fight that he could turn, he TPs there, and he gets like 3 or 4 levels off of those kind of like counter kills.
Yeah.
And that's how you get your farm. You don't go just like hit a medium camp in the jungle for 5 minutes. The role is way more nuanced and more fun than people make it out to be.
I agree completely.
I've been enjoying 5. Like, I mean, I play 5 instead of 4, like 100% of the time. I'm just not that great at 4 this patch, unless it's Slardar. But 5 is so fucking fun.
Yeah, it's a good time. There's definitely such a stigma that it's just not fun. I will say, I think in bad games, 5 is the most miserable position, because like in a bad game, if I'm playing carry, I still got to hit creeps for 10 minutes, so you know I had a pretty good time. But in a game where it's like we're just getting beaten down and I'm playing a lion, it's like this game freaking sucks, dude. So
against
I can kind of
2 Invis heroes, and you have to just buy like 40 sentries, and that's your game.
Yeah, and people are very ungrateful. I think that's the other thing, because it takes a psychological toll.
It's my shit.
It takes a psychological toll. Proud as Mr. Sentry.
I've already got the psychological toll, so now I'm just all sentry all the time.
All right. Well, let's do the Pvgna ad, shall we? Since we have Donnie here. So Pvgna is our first sponsor for today. They are, I don't know. We should make Donnie do this ad. But I won't necessarily do that. So Pvgna is an online platform and community where high-skilled Dota 2 players like the ones we've been talking about today and other coaches create educational video guides on how to improve at the game, learn new heroes, and help everybody gain a little bit of MMR, or a lot of bit, I suppose, depending on how much you plan to learn. The platform is totally ad-free, and each hero guide is divided into smaller subsections so that you can just look into that, like we were talking about, like doing replay analysis later. You could just watch a replay analysis, or you can just watch itemization. You could just watch, any little smaller facet if you don't have time to watch a full guide. There is plenty of content for players of all skill levels, whether you're brand new, you're an intermediate player, or you've been playing for years. I just threw a pen across the room. Or, whatever else. So check something out. You can always learn something, that's for sure. I learn things every day just from watching games, even like lower MMR games that I just casually tune into. You can just pick something up that you never thought you would have. You can try out Pvgna for free for 30 days with their promo code, or not our promo code 4th. Right now, just email support@pvgna.com, which may or may not be answered by Donnie here.
It will be. I apologize for the promo code fiasco. I am not the developer. I had nothing to do with it.
That's all right. You just take the blame.
I wish that I could fix it.
But either way, you can get it sorted out there and get your 30 days for free. You can also find Pvgna on Twitter @Pvgna, Pvgna, or on their website, pvgna.com. Obviously, we've been with Pvgna for quite a while, and it's a service that we all use here. So we're happy to have them as a sponsor. And also, we're happy to have Donnie on for a show. It was good.
Hey, Donnie.
Yeah. Is it okay if I shamelessly plug a couple things?
Please,
since I'm still currently in the ad time?
Please, yeah, go for it.
Cool. So one thing that I did wanted to just mention, since we were talking about in-game guides and like following item guides and stuff like that, is we do actually have we have our guides on our site, and then we've made Steam guides for all of the guides on our site in-game, and you can actually watch the videos in the Steam browser. Like all of the guides in-game also link to the video guides on the heroes. So yeah, if you are looking to learn a hero, you can just pull up the Steam guide and then play a game with that guide. And then if you want to learn more about the hero, you can just click on the link below.
How do I find the Steam
in the expanded
guide?
version? You know what? I'll probably just tweet that out. I'll put it on our Twitter and pin it there.
Could I just search
so
the guide section
there.
for Pvgna, and would that work?
You can, but because the guide system is sort of messed up, there's some of ours have a lot of subscribers, so you can find them normally, but some of them are small, like 50 subscribers, because they're a newer guide, and so those ones are just down beneath the 6.53 patch guides that are still in there.
They're below the Tortellini guide for each and every patch.
Yep.
Yeah, well, also Pvgna has a YouTube channel that if you just look up Pvgna on YouTube, and there's plenty of stuff there as well, which is handy to have. And I think there might be a video from one or both of Proud and I in the future once we finally do that, which we've been meaning to do for a while, but just kind of have it.
If you go to community and then I don't know, however you get to you go to the Dota 2, whatever the Dota 2 page is, and then go to the guides section there, and then just search Pvgna. It's every single one of them.
Handy.
Yep, I have so much respect for Tortellini after having to make all these guides in a 15-day span. It was a long time,
Jesus
lots
Christ.
of clicking.
Yeah, the guide system sucks. It's better now, but it is not great now, and it used to be way worse. So we've had quite the fiasco making Steam guides historically. Proud more than me, because I usually quit a minute in, but Proud has powered through and made a few. Anyway, it's better now that you can make them in client. At least there's that.
Yes.
All right. So quickly, I want to give our other sponsor proper time. So, other sponsor for today is Unicorn. We do not have a representative from Unicorn, but that's maybe next time we'll have Gorgon on or someone. Unicorn is everybody's premier esports outlet. Unicorn has totally legal and free to play esports betting everywhere, as well as real money betting if you are in the UK or Australia. You can earn betting tokens as well as Unicorn Gold to use on cosmetic item raffles just by playing your favorite games. CSGO, Dota, and League of Legends, I believe, are the main three. In addition to esports betting, Unicorn also has plenty of other Dota 2 content and other game content, a lot of CSGO content because, CSGO, as much as we like Dota and we're a Dota podcast, CSGO tends to be a bigger esport in terms of betting and stuff like that, and the fact that their economy, like their Steam economy, is not totally broken, so they actually have a pretty thriving skin market. But Dota podcast, so we got to remain a little biased for our love of Dota cosmetics. They also make other content. Gorgon, they have articles, they have guides to new patches, stuff like that. They also have Unicorn Connect, that is CONNEKT. That is a service where you can earn Unicorn Gold just by playing Dota 2 and other games, and then you can trade in said gold for raffle tickets to get cosmetic items and such and such. You can find them at unicorn.com, unikrn.com, and more info on Connect at unicorn.com/CONNEKT. I keep wanting to say / but I feel like nobody says that anymore. That's kind of like an antiquated term, right? Everybody just says slash, because there's no such thing as a backward slash.
Well, there is such thing as a backward slash. It's just not used.
I'm pretty sure it's gone.
No,
I'm pretty sure it's gone. I took the key off my keyboard, actually, so it's effectively gone.
It's not gone.
All right. Anyway, we're going to break now, and then we're going to play our game and all that. You'll hear some intermission music right now, I suppose. We're doing. Well, we're going to talk about after the intermission. Yeah, maybe we're not.
No,
Proud, do you want to talk about what we're doing right now?
I mean, not in front of Donnie.
It's entirely up to you. I really don't care.
I mean, we can, I guess. I don't really know what I'm doing, honestly. There's not a lot of guides to it. Right. I mean, I know the idea, okay, but the research has not been fruitful.
Okay, that's a scary prospect.
No, my builds are great. I'll figure it out.
We're going to break for 60 seconds or so. Thank you, Donnie, for joining us. We appreciate it tremendously. And obviously, we appreciate the Pvgna sponsorship. And, we've met Donnie individually, like in person a couple times.
I've met him more than you.
So you have met him more than me. You do get that honor. I've met him once. But, the once is important. When you're internet people, like, me meeting once is a big deal. So, Thanks again, Donnie.
Very nerve-wracking.
I can only imagine. Yeah, because if you only have one chance to make a in-person impression, you're like, man, I gotta not mess this up. And sometimes that can be hard, especially when you're an internet person. So yeah, thanks
for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good luck. Have fun, everybody.
Going bar trends. Hopefully, we don't need the luck too bad. But
we'll
hit another TCT losing streak.
We're gonna need luck this time, I think.
We've won the last couple weeks.
Yeah, but anyway, the last couple weeks I had an idea what I was doing.
That's true. I don't have any idea what I'm doing, so this is going to be doubly fun. Anyway, thanks for coming on, Donnie, and here's the break, everybody, and we'll be right back. All right, hello, we're back to talk about what we're going to be doing for the show, or for the game today. Proud is the one with the big idea. I'm just going to be reactionary picking. Obviously, we had a long segment today, so we did not want to talk at length about two different heroes. Also, Proud is a weird idea that I feel like I'm going to need to compensate for. So I want the freedom to do whatever the heck I want in this game. So Proud, get into the mad scientist.
It's not so much my idea.
It's really not that crazy.
As something that several people have done that I have seen, and it's called Radiance Ursa. That's kind of it. That's kind of the whole conceit of it is that. I mean, there are a few reasons why Radiance actually makes a lot of sense on Ursa. One, it gives them a way to farm. That's good. Like, you actually farm way more with that. Two, Ursa's a hero that's weakness is being kited. And as we know from Radiance Wraith King, one of the good things to do when you're kited is to still deal damage with Radiance. Also, it makes him take a bit less physical damage. That's got to count for something. Disables blink daggers and all that shit so people don't blink away from you. There was one other thing that was cool about it.
You glow.
Well, yeah. And also, you really don't take a lot of damage as Ursa because of Enrage. So there's just a lot of time when you're going to get value out of the Radiance when you kind of otherwise wouldn't. But the main thing is the farming is really good. The canceling blink daggers is nice. The kind of help you not get kited too much is very good. fuck. Oh yeah, and the stats on it are actually great for Ursa. The just like plus a ton of damage, like that's so fucking like 60 damage, and you're a hero that you just blink in and have 6 attacks. That's insane. That's a bunch. That's a whole bunch.
Oh yeah.
That's it.
And you blink into the middle of fights too, so you're hitting more people usually compared to if you're like going on somebody on the side.
Yeah, it just makes you way harder to deal with. Yeah, and that's kind of the idea. Also, oh yeah, that was the whole thing I wanted to talk about. Yeah, so as we've said several times, the what makes a good safe laner right now is that you can like reliably get to a big kind of transformative item that's going to shift the way that you play. And Radiance is definitely that for Ursa. And unlike a hero like Anti-Mage or Juggernaut, for instance, Ursa is kind of immune to having a bad lane. So Ursa can 100% basically always get a good timing on his Radiance. It's not going to be like, oh, I'm Jug and I died twice in lane, so my Battle Fury comes at 16 minutes. It's going to be, I'm Ursa and I got all my last hits and I killed their offlaner twice and I got my Radiance at 15 minutes and then I got my Blink at 17 and then I just fucking destroy the game. Yeah. So it's the idea of taking a hero that has a gross amount of lane domination and kind of making it. It's like you play greedy for like 15 minutes, and then it makes it almost impossible to throw your lead away. Because even if they're controlling you, you're still hurting them. And even if they're controlling you, you're still canceling their blink daggers. And even if they can control you, you can still farm up another big item. So that's kind of the conceit of it. So that, yeah.
What do you get any like what's the build up? Do you just get like phase 1 stout? Is that what you're committing to?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Phase 1 stout. You get a raindrop.
Yeah,
and a Radiance.
Do you want to be left alone?
I mean, you don't want to lose your lane, but I mean, and you want to get kills. I mean, no. The amount that you want to get left alone is the same as any other hero, which means that if you are winning your lane, then you're fine with being left alone. But until that point, you would like someone there to help you destroy your lane. So I'm probably going to do well winning my lane early on, but I'm not going to at level 1, I'm not drastically stronger and going to kill someone. Even if I do, it's at the expense of like 4 last hits. So obviously I'd like, 2 supports at the start to kill their offlaner and make them very upset. And then, 1 offlaner stays to continue to zone them. And then once I'm like level 4 and I have phase boots and shit, then you can fuck off. But until I'm able to just solo a motherfucker and not just solo fight them, were they to attack me. I mean, like solo kill in, whenever the fuck I want to. Then yeah, I'd like some help. I'm trying to get an item here. What else are you gonna do?
I mean, I can't argue with you. Radiance is a fun item.
It's a great one. And
do you have yeah. I actually don't know what I was gonna say, so please continue.
And then so you get it's like. The only build that I've seen, I saw someone built it in a pro game against a PL, and then someone was like, "Oh no, wait, actually that's a real build." So maybe that was kind of planned. Maybe that wasn't just against PL, and I forgot what they did, and I'm not going to look that game up because it was really bad. But I saw there was some crit replay where you went like Radiance, Blink, Shiva's Octarine. I'm like, whatever, dude. I'll try it. So here we are. I don't know if I'm going to do the Shivas, though. I get like Ags is really, maybe Shivas then Ags. Because if you think about it, Ursa really, there's no items that Ursa gets to auto attack better. Like his items are lifesteal, which is its own kind of, thing. It doesn't make you right click better. It just, it turns your right click into some healing. Then there's BKB, which obviously doesn't make you right click better. It just helps you get your right clicks off. There's Abyssal, which also doesn't make your right clicks better. It just helps you get them off. And then there's Ags, which again, same shit. And, Blink, which we're still getting, which obviously also doesn't make you right click. It just helps you get them off. So, if there's really no need for an aggressive item. I just need more items that piss people off and make sure that I can kind of get to them. And Shiva's is one of those items. And if I'm getting an Octarine, it'll heal me. And it's a shit ton of armor. And it helps the enemy carries not scale. So I stay relevant longer. So maybe that's good? I don't know. I'll let you know after I lose.
All right, well, that sounds like a plan, so we'll see everybody after the break.
Okay, here we go. Theorycraft Thursday, round 1. The stage of fate is set. Ready? Fight!
Jesus, all right.
Fuck, man. Fuck.
Oh, boy. All right, Liberty, we're back. We've just completed our game. It was a pretty long game compared to the Stomp from last week, that's for sure. It was a 51-minute game, so it was I would say it was a good game. Would you say it was a good game, Proud? It's back and forth.
It was an interesting game.
Yeah, it's a good observation, or a good description. So, team comps. Let's go by pick order, actually. Not that it's super relevant, but just for the sake of it. So the enemy team, they first picked Doom. They had him in the... Actually, this is a bad idea. We're just going to read the lanes because that's more important. So our team had an off-lane Magnus, played by me. That was what I ended up picking. We had a mid-lane Viper. We had a safe lane... Would you say tri-lane? I feel like they roamed a bit.
Yeah,
but
we'd
say
it started out
right?
as a tri-lane, and then it turned into trying to tri-ling to feed the other lanes.
Yeah, that was quite the attempt at a pun there, but A for effort. So our safe lane tri-lane was, of course, Ursa with Dark Willow and Pudge. And then the enemy team, they had a off-lane Doom. They had a mid-lane Timbersaw. They had a safe lane tri-lane of Luna, Rubik, and Clockwork. Rubik and Clockwork ended up roaming, I'd say, around 5 or 6 minutes, maybe. Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about how your lane went first off.
So my lane was really good when I had supports, and we kept killing this Doom and kept him level 1 for a super, super long time. But then eventually they got kind of stir crazy and decided to just leave, but not with any particular goal in mind. They just decided that they couldn't be safe lane anymore. Yeah. So they just went all around to other lanes and died repeatedly. And that kind of screwed things up. And then Doom was able to just sit next to the lane and get, however much experience. And the first time they pulled, they didn't get the range creep, so it just kind of kept going to him. So we kind of shut him down completely, but then we gave him a bunch of possible avenues to come back, and did that while feeding their safe lane, which was kind of bad.
Yeah.
That kind of didn't really work out. But my lane personally, until they decided to come back and only kill Doom when he was deep under tower and only use their disables when they were definitely not going to do anything, I was doing great. But after that, I died several times under tower against Doom, Clockwork, and Rubik. And then one other time I got doomed, and then I begged for you to TP in because it had been 12 minutes and you haven't left your lane. And you managed to waste RP and then miss a shockwave, and I died and Doom almost got out.
All right. To be fair, I was lagging.
Yeah, okay, buddy.
I did. You could watch the VOD, dude. I was lagging. I had frame skipping problems this whole game.
Well, either way, you just TP'd in and then hit R. I don't know how much frame skipping has to do with that.
Well, that's why I missed my things, and also that's why I missed RP because I skipped a frame and Doom's super fast. He had phase and burning ground active, scorch earth, whatever. Anyway, I just a bad game on top of that, but I did legitimately have lag and frame skipping problems in the beginning. You watch the VOD,
if I was
dude,
capable
on the
of
new
being
YouTube
tilted,
channel.
that would have tilted the fuck out of me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm not capable of being tilted. I've never been tilted in my life, so I wouldn't know. So I had a pretty hard lane. Luna, Rubik, Clockwork is one of those they have a billion stuns. It's impossible to survive lanes. I shouldn't say impossible. I picked Magnus in this game because we were thinking between Legion Commander and Magnus. Most because I wanted to play Magnus because I've not played Magnus in a while. And after this game, I certainly won't be playing Magnus for a while. But I wanted something that can survive against a lane like Rubik, Clockwork, Luna. And they have so many stuns that a Legion Commander probably would not ever be able to survive in that lane. And just because, you can't get out of Clockwork Hogs. So you're just boned. You're just going to have a miserable time. And the Clockwork started boots too. So they ran me down right from the beginning. So I couldn't do my pull. I couldn't do the offlane pull. And I just had a really hard lane. I got good XP eventually once they started roaming, but the problem was I cannot 1v1 a Luna from behind, so she just free farmed. She would just spam me with loosened beams. I got some CS with Shockwave and whatnot, but it was a hard lane. It definitely showed why I think Magnus is a really low pick rate hero, and also I just did not play well, which didn't help. Pudge ganked once or twice, and I know one of the times we killed somebody. I think it might have been Luna. I think we killed Luna once in lane, but another time they tried to gank and they just fed Luna 2 kills. And then she suddenly had Morbid Mask on top of her Aki, and she ended up going phase boots. So she was just super fast all the time. She had like constant 550 movement speed. So yeah, it was not the best lane. I got a little bit of farm. Let's see, when did I get my blink? I think I blink late, like 15 or 16. I bought Soul Ring, which helped me lane a lot, but it did delay blink. Then again, it allowed me to farm. Yeah, I got blink at 15:45. So, not the worst time in the world, but definitely a slow timing.
That's fine. I mean, if you had a bad
ideally
lane,
you want to have it at like 12.
If you had a bad lane, that's fine.
Yeah, it was all right. But my problem was there wasn't... A lot of these fights were super mobile, and I could not get a good RP. And we were trying to like play aggressively on a lot of fights, and it was just not in the card, so to speak. Like, you want to be saying like, oh, they're going to push a tier 2, let's get an RP. Or, oh,
Every time you got a good RP, too, Pudge hooks one of them out also, which is like, could you fucking not do that? I'm trying to kill people here. With Cleave.
Yeah, it was rough. We just kind of didn't 5-man. Like, we had issues where in the mid game, so Viper was super ahead, right? Because the Viper absolutely demolished the Timbersaw in the early game because that lane matchup is just super one-sided. Viper has a break mechanic, so Timbersaw gets super bullied, and then once Timbersaw has levels, he's broken, so his spells don't matter, or his passive doesn't matter, which is his only primary thing that makes him a good mid laner occasionally.
Wait, you mean Viper or Timber?
No, Viper. Yeah, Viper, well, I suppose both of them are pretty passive reliant, but Viper demolishes Timber because Timber's passive gets broken by Viper's.
Okay, yeah, you said once Timber gets levels, but you already mentioned the break thing, so I was confused.
Yeah. Oh, well, so like once Timber has levels, he invests them into reactive armor because that's what you do on mid Timber, but it didn't matter because of the break.
Right, yeah.
So like he loses the early stages and then he continues to lose in the late, whereas because I played a Timbersaw matchup recently where that made me really think about mid Timber, and you're not that great at level 1 because level 1 reactive is not good, but level 3 and level 5 when you have level 2 and 3 reactive is a really big difference. Anyway, Viper ended up just kind of playing his own game and being super off in the middle of nowhere, and he had some scaling issues because of that, and when I say scaling issues, I mean he was just dead all the time whenever we needed him, and he never built a Lincoln, so he just got doomed every fight and was worthless, which was very unfortunate. The Doom was the big player for their team, I think. Sure. Like, the Luna ratted, but when they won fights, it was almost entirely single-handedly because of the Doom.
Yeah, because they either got a good Doom off on me, or Viper got doomed and just had to leave, and then our 20-kill hero is just not in the fight anymore. And okay, I guess we lose then.
Yeah, gosh, yeah, the Doom really shone. If you wanna watch a good Doom game, that was definitely a very effective Doom in the sense that he had a terrible laning stage, but a great everything else.
Well, I mean, we gave him the laning stage. He had a terrible 4 minutes, and then they were like, "Okay, that's fine. He's good. Let him lane now."
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. Well, let's talk about how your itemization went, because you were really the focal point of this whole experiment.
Yeah. So I did. I got Coiling Blade in lane, which I was kind of expecting not to, but Pycat did this in a game that they lost against Phantom Lancer, but he was one of the people I was looking at. He got a Coiling Blade, so I figured whatever. I kept being under tower because we would pull very strangely and things would just be bizarre as fuck. But anyway, so I did that, got my phase boots. Overall, it was like pretty normal up until I have wand, phase boots. I got a raindrop also just because you're Ursa, you want to be fighting and also not die. And then from there, I bought a salve just to have because I don't have any health regen on me. So I'll probably will.
And you're not going Morbid Mass.
Yeah, so I'm gonna need. That's what I mean when I say don't have any health regen. Like no regen mechanics on my hero if I don't buy Morbid Mask. So I wanted to have something so that if a fight happens, I can use an item, or if the fight's gonna happen and I've been farming and I'm at half health, I'll have something. So that was good and that came in handy. But I mean, I just kind of went Radiance, and I died several times in lane because I was helping my team do stupid shit, and then we would all die. But after I got the Radiance, it was really good, honestly. It was a little unnecessary because you kept empowering me, and I was like AoE farming with every one of my Fury swipes gave me frenzies. What the fuck? Furious. Well, no, what is this thing called?
Each attack is a Fury swipe.
Overpower.
Overpower.
Yeah, well, I was just cleaving overpowers, and it was just like fucking blowing everything up. So it didn't really make a lot of sense with the Magnus to go for the Radiance. But yeah, it was
a weird combo.
It was good overall. I liked it. After that, I went into Blink, which was obviously good. Like, we were stomping the shit out of the game, and a big part of it also that was nice is that I was actually pretty good at taking towers because I had an extra 60 damage that was buffed by overpower as well. So it was like I added another 360 damage that I was putting into the tower every time I, Fury swiped because of that item. And like, yeah, it does magic damage overall, but like giving that extra damage on Ursa goes a long way. Like, your opening burst on Ursa is pretty much just going to be those overpower swipes. And like, Fury swipes is a big part of that damage, but it's not normally enough to actually get the kill. And plus damage or, like minus armor is the only thing that can buff that up. So, I mean, instead of a Deso, getting a Radiance seems solid. Yeah, it was good. I got kited some and like ticked a few people out. There was one kill that I really wanted, and I got it with my Radiance because my auto attack wasn't in range yet. And that was cool. I went Shiva's after that, and it seemed pretty bad. It seemed pretty bad and unnecessary. It seemed pretty worthless, honestly. So I think if instead of that, I got either Lincoln's or just straight up an Octarine there or an Ags, that would have been much better. The issue was I just kept getting doomed. Like, if I wasn't in a game where I was getting doomed at my power spike, or if I had lifesteal, like, because if you get doomed on Ursa, you just punch him and get lifesteal to heal up. But I had absolutely nothing, so I just kind of died. So I think I could have itemized against the Doom way better, like just, like Radiance, Blink, Lincoln's, Octarine or something. Once I got to level 25, I was like, the Earthshock talent is so fucking good. Like those,
it was really cool.
Yeah, those fights.
Like, on top of being good, it was just cool.
Yeah, those fights inside of our base where like people were just running away from us, and I would just fucking slam the ground and be like, no, and everyone's just like fucking slowed. It's like not allowed, but they are. I'm just like breaking the rules. I'm fucking like, it just looks like you're hacking, honestly. Like, the entire enemy team is just slowed all the time, and all you're doing is like punching the dirt right next to you.
Yeah, it's one of those abilities too. Like, the ring, it goes farther than the ring.
Yeah, like the radius.
Yeah.
Or
the radius. The true radius is not shown.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yes. The Radiance is not, the radius of that skill is not shown. Actually, when you have the talent, there's like a little brown circle that shows how far it goes out. But
yeah, I feel like it goes a little farther than even that circle. That's what I mean.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like how coddle horses, they go a little to the side of the horses, even though you only see the horses.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Anyway,
it's super big. Like, once you get to a certain point, every like extra unit you add to the radius of something, it just looks fucking absurd. So yeah, like I think if I played this again, I would absolutely do whatever I could to make sure I had Octarine by level 25, because that's just insane. That was so cool and good. Yeah. I mean, I like the build. It's definitely the main thing that I noticed not having was the Basher. That really felt a little weird to me.
Yeah. Especially against BKB Ursa, BKB Luna.
Yeah.
Because once she had BKB, it was like, oh god, we have problems.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, maybe I could have gone Basher instead of Shiva's, and then that into Lincoln's. I don't know. The Radiance is good though. Like, I think Radiance Blink Basher might be something to try. The one thing is when I saw the team that PyCat played this with, at least every other person on the team had a stun, more or less. So.
Yeah,
that seemed like a big part of it. Let's see. It was they had Dragon Knight, Earthshaker, Rubik, and Tusk. Yeah. So that's a bunch of stun to accent it.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, so maybe the Basher instead of Shiva's, and you're okay. It just sucks because like the way that you don't take damage on Ursa is that you use your ulti, and Doom doesn't. I can't do that if I get doomed, and I can't Ags ulti when I'm doomed either, so it's like the perfect fucking counter, and that really sucked. So yeah, I mean that's how that went. I think I liked it. I think I would encourage people to try it. Just phase, wand, raindrop, Radiance, Blink, and then maybe like Basher or something.
What would you think about doing Blink before Radiance?
Yeah, I was thinking about doing that. But I feel like once you get the Blink is when you start like trading your life for kills every so often. Like you're not going to die.
Where you don't want to hold on to gold.
Yeah, that's where you want to be like building, like things with an easy build up. Because like once you get the blink early, you're gonna like get 3 kills and then die, and then get 3 kills and then die, and then get 3 kills and die. But yeah, and I had a huge gold build up with the Radiance. I don't know, like that's worth trying out too. I love the blink first Ursa, but I feel like you'll definitely get the Radiance at a later time if you do that, right?
Yeah.
And the later you get it, that's the kind of general thing with Radiance is if you can get it earlier, it's good to do it. But I don't know, like I was certainly thinking of doing that, but I figured there's a reason people weren't. But that's also something worth trying, like, Blink Radiance Basher, Blink Radiance BKB, something like that seems good.
Yeah, I think the key, definitely thinking about this game, is that you need, just Ursa in general, whether you're going Radiance or not, you want to have secure stuns that you can lock people down for continuous amounts of time.
And we definitely didn't have that at all.
Yeah, we had, like, obviously I have Mag RP, but other than that, like, Dark Willow, she has a stun that takes 4 seconds to go off, and then she has a root that is inconsistent at best. Yeah. And then we have Pudge's ult, but that's channeled, and the enemy team had, let's see,
Clockwork,
they had 4
that's
stuns.
All you really need to say.
Yeah, they had Clockwork, but also, like, they had 4 heroes that stun, and then Timbersaw had a Yules. So, like, there were a billion ways for them to stop that. Yeah. So, and then obviously Viper, he does slows and stuff, but he didn't have consistent stun, and then I have RP. Yep. So it was definitely not a team where you have the ability to just, like, jam on somebody.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was definitely the big problem that we ran into, that I was noticing in a lot of these fights. And also, we just got ratted, and that was a real issue for us. Like, we had very little wave clear, where, like, I had Shockwave, of course, but other than that, like, Ursa, you have wave clear,
once
but it's
I'm
very
25,
committal,
I
like,
do.
Yeah. You have to walk in and wave clear, and Viper wave clears slowly, even though he had a Mjolnir, so relatively quickly. But, and, like, Dark Willow, she doesn't really have great wave clear unless she uses her ult. Pudge doesn't have wave clear, so it was really hard to deal with the Luna Rat. And, again, since we did not have secure stuns, she was just walking around at 550 move speed. So yeah, I think in a draft where you had a bunch of stuns, that would Ursa pick in general, but especially this Radiance Shivas thing, or just Radiance in general.
Yeah, I'm just not. I think the Shivas is honestly just the bad part, because like it really accomplished literally nothing. Yeah,
well, also because kind of like it doubles up with your level 25 talent, right? Where
like
the idea is like, I jump and I slow people
like,
in an AoE, but
like, what's the point of an AoE slow when I could instead just fucking stun them?
Yeah, like, you have an AoE slow already, so yeah, it seems a bit unnecessary.
Yeah. The only thing I can think is if you're really planning on that Octarine and you're just like, oh, Shiva's does magic, Octarine! But, like, that's so inconsequential compared to your Q. That's nothing. Mm-hmm. It does, like, what? 200 damage? Yeah, 200 damage? Get the fuck out of here. There's no point to this item.
I like Shiva's, but I will agree.
But not as an Ursa. Yeah, no, I like the item too, but, like, what the fuck?
I just like Vision. Flying Vision is dope.
Good, but whatever.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, also, like, again, like on Magnus, my itemization this game, I went Stout, Brown Boots, Soul Ring, Wand, Blink, Mana Boots, Force Staff, disassembled Mana Boots, built a Lotus Orb to kind of mitigate the whole Doom problem, but, like, even the one fight where it did work, Doom just doomed himself and then left. Like, Doom doesn't care if he's doomed.
On, he was like, I'm fine.
Yeah, it's like, shit. Okay. Yeah, and he's already done his job, so he can just leave. So it was like, all right, I guess, but it was really not super good. The stats are nice, though. Like, honestly, Lotus Orb has great stats.
Yeah,
like,
that's why I wanted armor to get Lotus Orb instead of Lincoln's, because, like, it's just good. It's a good item.
Yeah. And then I went BOTs just because we needed it for a push.
Yeah.
And then I went Shadowblade, but I only got to use it, like, when we were literally getting our Ancient killed. So in a general game, I would have gotten Shadowblade instead of Lotus Orb, and then probably gotten a BKB. But I didn't really matter that much this game, in the sense that they were not stopping me from getting RPs. They were just kind of not grouping, so I could not get RPs. So I didn't worry about myself too much. I was much more worried about you and Viper.
Yeah.
So it was an alright game. I really don't like Magnus now, honestly. Like, he does not feel strong. He feels like a really bad Tidehunter, in the sense that Tidehunter ult is basically RP, but just better. And everybody does so much damage and has so much items, so has so many items. I don't feel like Empower is as necessary as it has been historically in some patches where safe laners were weaker. Like if you're sacking your safe lane, sure, Empower is a great catch-up mechanic. But right now, your safe laner is getting 1 billion gold because each creep gives 60, and they have, Battle Fury already, and they have Saint Yasha, and they have all these like crazy items.
The last
they
time
don't need
I
Empower.
the last time I was PA, I had a Magnus on my team, and I was like, my team's, and this was before Battle Fury PA was like mainstay. And I was like, team's going to get mad when I build this Battle Fury, so I won't do it. And then we, of course, lost the fucking game because I'm a PA who just went like Deso first and fell off in 2 minutes. It's like, this fucking Magnus. I shouldn't have tried to make him happy. I should have just pretended he didn't exist because he might as well not have.
Yeah, but it was a fun game at least, I would say. Like, it was a high kill game, actually. We had 59 kills, they had 40.
Yeah, I mean, it was...
in a 51-minute game.
It was fun, for sure. I'm just mad at the Shivas right now.
Yeah,
I'm fucking worthless.
I'm just mad at Viper for playing his own game. I really just don't get why he was doing that thing, but it was all right. I'm excited to get to. I'm glad I got to play Magnus, even though it was not a good game. Yeah. So that's that. Any closing thoughts on the game?
I'm going to talk about my skill build a little bit. It's not super interesting. It's just you prioritize Earthshock over other things. Level 1, you get Fury Swipes, of course, because that's what you do. Then level 2 and 3, I got Earthshock points. Level 4, I got Overpower because you want that shit. 5, another Earthshock. 6, ulti. 7, you guessed it, Earthshock. And then I was kind of leveling Fury Swipes and Overpower relatively evenly. Once you get level 10 and you get the mana regen talent, it's much easier to support them. Your raindrop is probably gone by then, but then you get the extra mana regen in your set. And then you just kind of feel it out. Like, I think honestly leveling Overpower and Fury Swipes evenly is a totally fine thing to do. I at least want max Overpower once I get my Radiance, because then I have so much damage that the Fury Swipes isn't like the biggest deal in the world. And then at 15, I took the -1 second Earthshock cooldown. At 20, I took the 1 second Enrage duration. And at 25, I took the 600 AoE Earthshock. And that was the idea. You just fucking pound the ground. And if I had an Octarine, I would have been fucking immortal.
Yeah.
That's where you get the Shivas.
I mean, you would have been healing so much, too.
Just the damage bonus on with the int. That's why.
Yep. On Mag, the skill build is you start with Skewer because it's your defensive tool. If you're mid lane Magnus, which people don't really play that much, but just honorable mention, you generally will start Empower just that you win the first 2 waves, and then it doesn't matter everything else you buy because you won the first 2 waves, which means you won mid lane. On off lane, though, you start Skewer. Then generally you go Shockwave at 2 and 3, but if you're against a melee hero or if you're left alone, you can get Empower at level 2 or 3 if you can actually contest, but in general you're going to be zoned, so you want Shockwave. Then at 4 you're going to get Empower, and then 5 Shockwave again. I stop at 2 points Skewer. 2 points Skewer is a nice middle ground where you can start investing fully in Empower, and it also works out with the kind of power spikes of your safe lane carry and or your mid laner, where by the time I had max level Empower, that was when like we were taking big fights. Whereas if I had invested fully in Skewer, it would have just been kind of overkill. And similarly, if I had max Empower early, then it's just kind of unnecessary because you guys don't have enough items to really benefit from Empower, truly. So I find that I get 2 points on Skewer at level 8, and then after that at 9, 10, and 11, or not 10 because you get your talent at 10, at 9, 11, and 13, that's when you're finishing off Empower second. And of course, you're getting RP at 6, 12, and 18. For your talents, it's pretty simple. If you are playing him as a utility offlaner, which is generally what you're doing, you're going to get 200 health at 10. You don't really need attack speed. At 15, you get 15 strength. I like the shockwave damage is kind of necessary at this point. You're a team fight hero, not a like chipping hero. If you really need wave clear against something like a Nature's Prophet, sure, go with the shockwave damage. But that's generally not going to be the case. Also, like, you don't really build as Ags. If you're building Ags, definitely go Shockwave damage, because it's 150 damage. At 20, in this game, I went for 12 armor. 500 skew range is unnecessary, because you already have 1200. And 1200 is practically a full screen, so who needs 500 more? At 25, you are going to go... In any game, basically, where you have a good safe laner that builds into damage items, you're going to go for a plus 20% empower damage and cleave. If you are going for a game where you have like let's say you first picked Magnus and you have, for some ungodly reason, a ranged safe laner and a ranged mid, or a safe laner that just sucks with empower, which I can't really imagine one that's melee, then you'd go for the 0.75 reverse polarity stun duration. But the problem with the stun duration talents, just in general across all heroes, is that if you're getting them late, that means any strength hero has built up status resistance, like a Doom or a Clockwork in this game's case, and that really hurts Magnus quite a bit. So yeah, think it through, but these are pretty linear talents.
Okay.
Anything else before we close it out? Do some plugs?
No, that's good. I had fun.
All right, so the most important plug right now is YouTube. So I made a YouTube video for the YouTube channel that's up there. The current existing, youtube.com/fourthspirit, that is we're going to be switching over from that to a new YouTube channel that does not have custom URL right now, but if you go to the YouTube channel, it's pasted everywhere. So just click that video, and right in the description it says, youtube.com/ and then the random string of numbers. We are transferring over. The short story is that there's some old .p stuff on the old YouTube channel where if we did lose control of the account somehow, like if we switch computers in Proud's case, which is why he can't post there right now, we have no possible way to get back into the account because there's old two-factor authentication stuff.
Right.
So to subvert that crises from ever happening, we're just going to be transferring over earlier rather than later. So nothing's changing. All you got to do is just click that video if you listen on YouTube or watch the VODs and go to the new channel. That will be starting today for the Theorycraft Thursday VODs. We're going to be putting them on the new YouTube channel. But we're going to keep posting the podcast on the old channel for like maybe a week because some people may be listening to this late. So So go to that new YouTube channel, please. It'll be helpful. Also, once we have 100 subs there, we can make the custom URL and make everything easy. Other plugs at Twitter. I'm at Ursinity. Proud is at ProDota. Our show is at Fourth Spirit. Discord.gg/fourth. Everything's always spelled out FOURTH rather than a numerical 4. Website, fourthspirit.com. Tell a friend. That's the best way to support us. The other best way to support us is on Patreon, patreon.com/fourthspirit. We are gonna, let's see, what's today's date? Today's like the 15th, 16th, 17th? It says 17th.
It's the 18th because it's 18th. Thursday tomorrow, which is when we release this.
It's Thursday. So
Thursday.
We're gonna have the next episode of Proud and Ursi's Dark Souls series in the next, at the end of January it'll be out. And we have, of course, Patreon exclusive episodes every Monday. Let's see, Monday coming up is a hero exclusive. That'll probably be done by Proud and or me. We don't know what hero, but I'm sure it'll be fun. I just did a Lena one the other week.
What hero do you think it'll be?
Not Ursa, I'll tell you that much. Not Magnus either.
Yeah.
Who knows? If I was going to do it, I might do it on... If I was going to do a hero exclusive episode on Monday, if you ask me right now, I might do one on Winter... No, I did Winter Wyvern already.
I mean, I'm going to do it, so...
Yeah.
Who do you think I'm going to do? Do you know?
Lifestealer. That would be a cool
Why
one.
the fuck would I do Lifestealer?
Have
you ever seen me play Lifestealer willingly?
Well, no, I haven't.
No, you have not.
That was just a random shot in the dark.
Well, it
anyway,
sucked.
Yeah. There are other plugs. I don't care to do them. Well, you'll figure it out. If you listen to the show, you'll find other plugs. They exist somewhere in the ether. So goodbye, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for our sponsors, Pvgna and Unicorn. Thanks to Donnie again for guesting on the first half. And thanks for listening. It's been our theory, and if it doesn't work,
that's what Donnie sounds
blame
like.
something. No, Donnie sounds much more like masculine than that. That was like a toad voice.
I'm Donnie. I'm masculine.
No, that sounds like
Pepper my hams, Jimmy.
That sounds like Pudge.
Oh, my hams have no pepper.
All right, goodbye, everybody.
Please,
I need to stop this before it gets weird.
Season my ham.